working. Um, Second. Okay. There we go. Hopefully you can all see my. Hopefully you can all see the screen now. If you can't, please do just let me know in the chat so I can know that there's a bit of an issue. Okay. So first things first is just to give you a bit of a rundown of what Seneca looks like and how it sort of works. Is that first of all, there's a few different things you should know. So we are becoming more and more not just a homework and revision and learning platform, but we're also increasingly becoming a distance learning platform too. So that is something that's obviously become more of a thing since the whole coronavirus pandemic's been around, and moving forward, we expect that to continue somewhat, potentially with like school closures and things like that may or may not happen in the future. We expect that to continue, but primarily before that, there were millions of people using us not for that purpose, as purely as a homework and a revision or learning tool. And some of the best things about Seneca are that, first of all, everything on there is based on cognitive science. So what is shown to be effective in the research in terms of making learning effective is automatically baked into the system. So that sort of happens automatically. You don't need to worry about whether your students are employing these effective learning strategies. It just sort of happens automatically. Secondly, talking about automatically, is all the marking is done that way. So that will completely save you time and stuff like that. So you won't have to worry about marking work. All the students' progress is then able to be tracked on your teacher platform, which I'll show you how that looks a bit later. And also something else to mention is it's completely adaptive. So the sort of equivalent terminology you'd use in the classroom is differentiated. So as if you stood behind two students and watched them going through the same session together, they would see different things based on how they would answer the questions. So it would give more support and keep students on the easier topics where necessary, and it would push students on further if they were doing really well. So there's that adaptive nature of it as well. And lastly, it's completely free to use. So everything I show you in this webinar will be free as part of what we offer schools, students, parents, etc. So I talked a bit about the cognitive science behind it. I won't go into too much detail on that, but we worked with some scientists, some leading scientists in this field to basically make sure that we were getting the latest research that shows to make sure that we are making something that is as effective as possible. And we also wanted to make sure our implementation of the theory was effective as well. So we did a randomized controlled trial with just over 1,100 pupils. And what we found was that with very similar pre-test scores, the post-test scores, if you compared it to other independent learning tools, like say a revision guide or something like that, Seneca was over twice as effective in terms of the post-test results. So we sort of take that and see it as a sort of effective validation of what we do, the way we implement the theory we have, so that you can be safe in the knowledge that what you're doing is having a positive impact on your students. And that research was peer-reviewed and published in these places. If you want to go and read about the methodology and all that, you can sort of go and read about it in these journals. In terms of where we are today, we have content right from Key Stage 2 up to Key Stage 5, and everything on there is either linked to the national curriculum, if it's Key Stage 2 and 3, or it's exam board specific at Key Stage 5 and 4. So again, you're making sure that you can be safe in the knowledge that all students are learning exactly what they need to know for their specification and what is being taught in school. And we've got about, those numbers are slightly out of date now, so I think it's about 3.5 million pupils using Seneca, and 145-ish thousand teachers. So lots of people using it, and we're really pleased to be able to offer a high quality education to those people when they're learning remotely or completing their homework or revising or whatever it is. So that's sort of a bit of background for you. What I will do now is I'll flip over to the actual product Seneca, and I'll give you a bit of a rundown of setting up classes and how that links in with Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams. So again, if you have any questions on anything as it comes up, do just ask and keep that coming in the group chat on Zoom. Okay. So when you first log in, this is what you see basically. There's some basic functionality which I'll just talk you through in terms of like creating a class, and it's a very simple process. You just click create class, you give it a name, whatever it is, whatever it is you want to call it. And then there's these sort of 4 steps you should go through to help you basically set up your class effectively. So we've already done this, we've already created that class. And if you need help at any stage, there's just sort of get help, which will take you through to a relevant sort of tutorial video to help you sort of get this set up. But we're just going to go through it together now. So add courses is the first step. So I can go in here and I can, when it loads, either do a search at the top, or I can use these filters down the side here. So say I wanted a GCSE course, say I wanted a food prep course, and the exam board's AQA, for example. I could choose those courses as many or as few as I wanted. I could add different subjects as well if that was useful for this class, but I'll just leave it as those 2 food prep ones for the moment. And then at the top, you've got this add course. So then next step is to create an assignment. So we've got, again, create assignment here, just a big button, click on it, and it will talk you through the process. So those 2 courses we've just added are automatically there. I'll click on the one I want to add an assignment for. And this is me telling the student, I want you students to do X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. So we can select different sections to learn from the AQA food prep specification, as many or as few as you want. Just check them down the side here in the checkboxes. And nice little thing that you can see up here is if you're wondering about how long that might take, we've got an estimated time at the top here, and that will change as you select more or fewer sessions. So then when I click assign, I then ask to give it a name again, whatever it is you want to call it, and a start and an end date. So that's again quite useful if you're thinking about planning forward, planning ahead with your work. You can set stuff into the future, and that happens automatically. So then click create. And final step, you may have noticed I haven't added any students, I haven't input any student data or anything like that. The way we do this is we invite the students, they join, and then that automatically adds the data to your class, so you can see then what your students doing. There's no manual input of data or anything like that. So this is where the first sort of step of your integration with Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams comes in. So if I click invite, you'll see we've got Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams as 2 options here. I'll talk you through both those options, but I'll go for Classroom first. So if I click on that link, give it a moment to load, you've got a few options that will pop up. First of all, you choose the class you want to set it to. So I can choose whichever. I'm going to choose this year 10 group I've got. And then you can choose an action. So there's 4 different actions you can do on Google Classroom. Create an assignment is, as you probably imagine, creating an assignment. Asking a question again is asking a question. Announcements, and also you can also create some material, so some content for the students to look through. For inviting students to a class, I recommend doing an announcement, because then it will go into the stream, what's called the stream. I'll show you what that looks like in a second, of Google Classroom, so your students can always find it. So if I click go, that will then create a post with the link to join the class. I can put a little custom message in here, something like that, whatever it is you want to do. And then we've got a few options down the side here. So at the moment I've got all students selected, but I can choose to just do it for some students if I want to, and for multiple classes as well as if I want to. But then I invite them. I can either post it straight away, I can schedule it for later, or I can save that message as a draft, whatever is useful for you. But let's just post it, and then we can see what it looks like in Google Classroom. So here we go. So I've posted, you click view here, and that will take you straight to the post. And this is where I can talk you through a little bit of the functionality of Google Classroom. So you'll notice that we've opened up in the stream here. This is almost like the message board of the class. So what is important to say about Google Classroom is whatever you see, students, or not whatever, but the same sort of setup of what you see is what students see as well. So they try and keep it nice and simple. So they will see the stream just like this in the same way as you do. They'll see this link that I've just added here. And when students click on that link, it will just take them through to a page on Seneca, which will just let them know that they have joined the class that they've just been invited to. Let's have a look. So yeah, you've just joined CPD webinar, which is the name I gave the class earlier. Richard Broad, me, will be able to see your progress, etc. So if I click continue, it'll then take me through to that class, and I as a student then can complete my assignments that I've just been set. I can see some other details of the class just here. So as simple as that for Google Classroom. I'll leave the functionality for Google Classroom as it is. I'll come back to more of that in a second. But I'll show you the same process on Microsoft Teams. That'll probably be useful for people who aren't using Classroom. So again, with Microsoft Teams, you just click this link here, and it's a fairly similar process. Just give it a moment to load. So this time, again, you choose a class or a team to put it to put this message in. So I've got this Year 10 Maths group. Whatever message you want to send. And again, the link's been automatically generated there for you. And then you can just share that to your class. And then what you've got is you'll get a notification to say it's been shared. And if I just go into Microsoft Teams here, oh, sorry, that's Google Classroom. If I go into Microsoft Teams, you'll be able to see this one at 16:15, click to join the class. And if I clicked on that link, it would be the same as the link when I clicked on it in Google Classroom. So again, with Microsoft Teams, you have these different message boards. They're called channels in Teams. It's just a slightly different terminology. It's similar to the stream in Google Classroom. But basically, whatever you see here, the students can see, and they can reply to messages. They can add messages themselves. You can message the students through the chat down the bottom here. So yeah, that's all the different things you can do there. So that's in terms of inviting students and how that side of things works. There are other sort of ways that Seneca integrates with Google Classroom as well, which I'll talk you through now. So while we're on that, just quickly, there's a few other things within Seneca that's worth mentioning at this point. So you see we've created one assignment already, we've added one course. When we refresh, this will update to show the number of students. But we can also now share with different teachers. So if we've got different teachers who are sharing the same class as you and you need to see the data, or if you want to share a class with like a head of department or a senior leader in your school who wants to see the data of your students, that's now a brand new option that we give teachers now as well, which is great. So you just click here and then you invite your teacher with the email address that they have and you send them an invitation to join that class, and that says sent to them via email. So the other thing I should show you is in terms of assignments. So when we want to share assignments with students, we can again use Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams. So say, for example, again, I want to create an assignment and share it with Google Classroom. I can go through that same process I went through earlier, created an assignment, choose the course I want to make an assignment for, select the different sections that I want to choose, assign it, select who I want to select for. So at the moment, there's only one student in this class because I'm the only person who's joined it. You can click next, and then you can give it a name and a start and end date again. And this time, what will happen is it will tell you you can share this assignment directly to Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams. So again, let me talk you through that process again. If I click this Google Classroom, it will show you the same page as earlier. You choose the class first of all, and then you choose the action. This time I've created an assignment, so it makes sense to use the assignment feature within Google Classroom. And that gives you just a few more different options. So you can give it a title, some instructions. Whatever it is you want to call it. And then again, you can choose who it's for. You can select just specific students if that's useful. You can assign a number of points, and that's if you're using the mark book that's within Google Classroom, that's a useful thing to do. You can assign some points to it, or you can just leave it as unmarked, whichever you're using for your setup in your school. You can set a due date, so let's say next Thursday, time if you want, and then you can also choose to set it under a particular topic. So what I'll do is I'll leave it as no topic at the moment, because I'll just use that to explain what topics are in a moment. Again, if you click this arrow down here, you can choose to schedule that for later, save it as a draft, or just assign straight away. So again, for the moment, just for the demonstration purposes, I'll just show you what it looks like when you assign it. So again, you get the option to view. And then you can see that assignment here at 16:19. I set that assignment. And you can see it's popped up in the stream just above this, joining class link I sent earlier. You can also be able to see it in classwork. Now this is again what sort of it includes in the name really, but it's where all the classwork will be set. And you'll see this week 1 assignment, it just pops up at the top here. And remember with Google Classroom, whatever you see, the ordering and everything like that, the student will see as well. So what Google have quite done, which is quite smart, is you can actually create topics to make the organization of the work easier. So you see I've got 3 topics here, topic 1, topic 2, and Macbeth. If I want to create a topic, you just click create at the top here, then click topic, and you can call it whatever you want. Topic 3, let's go for. And that creates another topic that I can put stuff under, and I can reorder this by just clicking on these 3 dots and clicking move down. Let's get them 1, 2, 3 because the OCD like that. Okay, so at the moment it's just assigned under no topic at all. We can change that if we just drag and drop. So if I click on this and I pull it down, I can just choose where I want to assign this to help both me and my students sort of get their head around where the work fits within their learning. So that's the process within there. And again, if the student clicks on this, they'll be taken through to the assignment where they'll be able to access the learning on Seneca. So again, let's show you the equivalent process on Teams. So again, if I go back, this time I'm sharing an assignment, I'm going to do it on Teams. So click the link. Again, it's a fairly similar process to before. Again, I select my channel, my year 10 maths group. Give the students a little message so they know what's going on. And then you can share down the bottom here. Again, the link's been shared. And if I flip over to Microsoft Teams, you'll see this 1622. There's the post I've just done there. And if the student clicks on that, they'll just be taken through to the assignment to complete it. So that's in terms of sharing assignments. Obviously, when your students then start completing assignments, you're going to get lots of nice data on what your students do or don't know on the content within Seneca. So again, I'll show you just quickly where that pops up and how that sort of works. So we've just been talking about assignments. So if I go into this assignments tab down here and just click on one of my past assignments, I won't actually be able to see any data because none of my students are real students and none of them will have completed work. But what you'll see is like a mark book type thing. So you'll have a status, which will tell you if it's not completed or if it's completed late or if it's completed on time. It will show you a little status update here. And then you can also see all the data you want here based on how well your students have done. And what you'll see is it will red, amber, green, what the scores your students get. So anything below 50% will show as red. Anything between 50 and 80% will show as amber, and 80% plus will show as green. So really quickly and easily be able to see exactly how well your students have done, and where the sort of knowledge gaps are across the class. Sorry. You can also choose different metrics. So I've got best score selected at the moment, but if you selected any of these metrics, the data would just update. So your students can see, you can see what your students have been up to. So you can choose from most recent attempts, best score, worst score, average score, the number of attempts, and the total study time as well. Something else to mention here as well, we've got this new smart reassign function. And what that will allow you to do is, say you have your students completing work, they're getting scores that are coming in, you will be able to basically use the smart reassign to basically tell the system you want to reassign work based on how well the students have done in that assignment. So if I click this, I'll just show you what that looks like. Basically, you'll be able to reassign all the sections from this, this assignment, and you'll be able to select it as either incomplete or anything below 50%. And if you reassign those, it will basically automatically select those for the appropriate students, and it will just set them again. So you can just set this, set a new assignment name and start and end date, and then the students will be set that as an assignment automatically. So it's a really quick and easy way to differentiate your work for your students, and get them to focus on the areas that they need to focus on the most. So that's one way you can see data on Seneca. As a teacher, you will also want to be able to see data that for the work that your students have also done independently. So outside of assignments, you want to be able to see how well they've done. And for that, you can use this Insights tab here. So if you click on Insights, you can first of all select the course you want to see data for. You can select the metric, and you can select the time range. So say the last year, last 24 hours, whatever it is. And you can also set a custom date range as well if you want to see data from a particular time period. You'll then be able to go and select the sections you want to see data of. So a bit like when we were selecting what assignment we wanted to set earlier, you can just check these boxes, and they will show you all the data that's useful to you, whatever it is you want. And when you select sections, it will just give it a second and it will pull through data. So this is the example of the red, amber, green that I was talking about earlier. That data will pop up automatically, so you can see exactly how well your students have been doing, and that will show for all of the data that you select. If you want to as well, it's quite nice, is you can sort by any of the columns. So say you wanted to see who's done the best on weathering, this weathering session. You click this, who's done the worst first, and then who's done the best. It's me, has done 92% on this weathering module, so just order those accordingly. I should have also mentioned this on assignments as well, actually, but within Insights, you can also, and assignments, you can download any of the data you have. So if you want to download it as a spreadsheet, you just click this download CSV button, and that will download whatever data is on screen and make it into a spreadsheet for you. So the last area you can see data is within this Students tab. So if I click on that, it's the sort of the highest level overview, basically, of what your students haven't been up to. So you can see metrics like learning time, average score, sessions completed, and number of correct answers. Again, for the time period you've selected and the course you've selected at the top here. So it's really just a way to sort of get a sort of a gauge of what your students have been up to over the course of the time period you've selected. It doesn't give you any necessary diagnostics other than seeing what they've seeing that they have been doing some learning. So that's sort of it in terms of the Teach platform and that side of things. One more thing last thing I want to show you that's specific to Teams, which is a really, really nice feature. And if you're using Teams, I'd really recommend using it, is these sort of tabs they have at the top here. So within a channel, so within this Year 10 Maths channel, you can add your own tabs. And what you can actually do is create your own Seneca tab. So Seneca appears within Microsoft Teams. It's not in a separate area. So the way you do that is you just click on this little plus at the top here and click website. And what you're going to want to do, give it a name, Seneca makes sense for this one. And then you're going to want to copy and paste the first bit of the URL of our website. So at https blah blah @senecalearning.com. And if you save that, you can choose to post about it in the channel if you want or not. But if you save that, what it will do is it will load up Seneca within Microsoft Teams. So it's a really nice way. Your students will be able to see this and just be able to go into it and log into their account from here, alongside the posts and the message boards that you have down here. So that's a really nice feature. Unfortunately, it's not something Microsoft, not something Google provide, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a really, really nice feature. So that's sort of all I wanted to tell you about. The only other thing to say is that we have spent a lot of time as well, again, looking at research in terms of how we can improve student outcomes for kids across the country. And one of the big things that the research said is around parental engagement. So we have, again, created a free parent platform as well, in case you didn't know, that is available to use. And yes, parents can sign in, create an account, and link to their students, also link to their kids, so they can see what is going on in terms of their progress on Seneca. So that's, again, a really nice feature that you can use to get parents involved in learning. So that's sort of all I wanted to say now. Just a quick one to say is that this webinar will be available on the Seneca CPD YouTube channel. So if you want to go and visit this again another time, you can just go ahead and go in. If you go on YouTube and just type in Seneca CPD, you'll see this exact recording on that channel. And if you want to subscribe for future CPD stuff, then go ahead and do that. So yeah, that will be on there. If I went too quickly or you didn't quite understand something, or you want to look back at what you did, then it's available. And it also, if you want to share it with colleagues as well. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now and come back to you full screen, and just see if we got any questions from you guys. Okay. So question from Shane about, will the webinar be available to go over later? So yes, sorry, I've just already covered that. So yes, it will be on the Seneca CPD YouTube channel. The question from Louise is, can you set the assignment on Seneca as an assignment in Teams rather than a post? So unfortunately not, no. So you can post about the Seneca assignment, but it's not an official assignment in Teams. It's a link to the Seneca assignment that you are setting. Okay. If there are any other questions, please do get them in. I'll just hold for a minute to see if there's anyone who has any final questions. Okay. Doesn't look like it. So in which case, I'll just say thank you very much for joining. Appreciate it's probably been the end of a sort of tiring and busy week, getting used to whatever, however your school is operating in these weird times. So yeah, thank you for taking the time to join, and I hope you have a great weekend, and good luck on Monday with the first full week. And yeah, any questions or anything like that, on our website is on our website is a help center where there is live chat there, so you can get in touch with our customer service team and they'll be able to help you with any queries that you have. Just a quick last question from Fatma before I go is, do you have to subscribe to get student data? So if you mean by subscribe you mean pay, then no, you don't have to pay to get student data. Everything I've shown you today, it was free to do and free to use, so you can get that as part of the free package that you get. So yeah, you can just see all your students' data for free. Okay. Great. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great evening and a great weekend.